These are level 3 fast chargers, and the economics behind them, it's disastrous. In this video, we're gonna break down everything that we know as far as the cost of installing these chargers, exactly how much we make off of these chargers, and show you the entire break even of these level 3 fast chargers. What's up guys, Mitchell Watts with TC Customs, and as you know, this channel is all about customizing vehicles and showing you cool cars and cool trucks, but at the end of the day, we're also a Ford dealership. And as a part of the Ford dealership, we installed these level 3 fast chargers for one main reason. Ford Motor Company came out a couple of years ago with the Model E Elite program. The idea there was, and by the way, this was back in the COVID restrictions where people were having microchip shortages and EVs were flying off of lots. You know, Ford came out and said, hey, we're gonna have this program, it's gonna be awesome, we're gonna have a lot of new EVs coming out, and if you want access to sell more of these vehicles, if y'all will install these chargers, we'll get you more inventory. Now that program has been sunsetted for a voluntary level 3 EV charging program. And although I'm not going to get into the details of that specifically, I do want to let you know that we had already signed the contracts to install these level 3 chargers. And I thought this would be a good opportunity to show you everything that it costs to install them. But I want to start off first with how much money do we actually make off of them? Well, we've actually had over 1,300 charging sessions for these chargers. Now, by the way, I'm going to be grouping everything together. What do I mean by that? Well, we have this location, which is in Bessemer, Alabama, and we have this location, which is in Pell City, Alabama. We own both of these Ford stores, and we own both of these locations for level 3 fast chargers. All the numbers that I'm going to say from here going forward are combined, this location and that location together. So the cost of the charger installs, the number of charging sessions we've had, everything is combined into one. But over 1,300 charging sessions has given us over $25,000 worth of revenue, which sounds amazing. It really does. But the problem is that you have quite a few fees that are associated with that. I mean, so many fees, it sounds like a French poodle, fee. Anyways, you have a 10% credit card transaction fee right off of the rip, which, by the way, that's asinine to begin with. That's crazy how much the 10% credit card fee, that goes to paying for the ChargePoint app and a couple of other things. But yeah, you've got that. In addition to that, you have over $8,000 worth of the cost of electricity. So as you can see, this is a massive transformer right behind me. That massive transformer is what gives us the power. So we sell the power, but we have a different rate that we buy it at. And yes, we mark the rate up because we have to recoup some of the cost of the EV chargers. And so basically, when you take out the revenue minus the credit card fee and the cost of electricity, we have profited over $14,000 in just a little over 8 months. Actually, it's just a little less than 9 months, like 8.6 months, something like that. Basically, what that boils down to is if you figure out what that is per month, that means we're making $1,600 per month in profit on these EV chargers. The downside though is there's software that you have to pay for as well. Now, by the way, this is not a gripe session or anything like that, because at the end of the day, we signed up for the contracts. We knew what we were signing up front. So this is not a dig at ChargePoint or a dig at Ford or anything like that. We knew what we were getting into. But at the end of the day, we have another $371 a month that we have to pay to ChargePoint to have their software on that screen. And if you don't pay for that, then anybody can just plug up and charge, no cost associated with it. You just plug up, charge, get as much free electricity as you want. That obviously is not a good solution. So basically what it boils down to is all in, we are at $1,277 worth of profit per month on these EV chargers. That sounds pretty good because it's kind of like mailbox money, right? There's no cost of overhead. You don't have to pay an employee to be down here. Really, all you have to do is change out the trash can and make sure people have a good experience right next to the Starbucks, which is right next to the dealership as well. And so it's not that bad of a situation until you factor in what it actually costs to install these chargers. And this is where it gets absolutely crazy. Now, some of these numbers you might think, oh, these are inflated or there's no way that it costs this much. That's why you can pause the screen and see all of the invoices right there on the screen. But at the end of the day, we spent $737,902. By the way, that is a worst case scenario. What do I mean by that? That transformer we just looked at, we had to pay that out of pocket, and I'm not factoring that into these numbers. Why is that? Because some, electricity companies, they'll actually give you the transformers and some won't. And so I just wanted to kind of give you guys like an absolute best case scenario or worst case scenario, however you look at it. But $737,000 is what it costs to install these two chargers and the two chargers in our Bessemer and Pell City locations. So really we're talking about 4 chargers, and then you have 2 dispensers on each one of those chargers. So yeah, when you take all of that out and you say $737,000 over $750,000, divide that by your $1,277 profit per month, that means that we will have a break-even point in 48 years. That return on investment, this might be the worst business decision we've ever made, but once again, not a gripe session. It's not me complaining or anything like that, because we knew what we signed up for. And Ford came out with a program, and we bleed blue. And so Ford says, hey, we're gonna come out with a program. Guess what? We're gonna be joining it, because we believe the motor company has the customers themselves and the dealers all in their best interest. They're not trying to screw anybody. At the end of the day, the reason I bring up this terrible break-even point is because I think this may or may not be the single biggest barrier to entry. You know, there's gas stations all over the United States of America, and it makes it easy to take a long distance road trip. But when I had my F-150 Lightning for over 30,000 miles, that was single-handedly the worst part about the experience, was long distance traveling. Now, I will say my F-150 Lightning was single-handedly the best around town commuter vehicle I've ever owned, and I've owned way more than the average human has. And so I've experienced a lot of different vehicles, and I miss my F-150 Lightning. So this is not an anti-EV or a pro-EV video. At the end of the day, I think this is a problem. And now the good news is Ford Motor Company has teamed up with Tesla to open up their Tesla superchargers across the nation to actually help with those long distance traveling. And so I'm not sitting here saying that you need to stay away from an EV because of the chargers. I just think that you can't find anywhere else on the internet that is openly showing you what it costs, the obscene costs of installing these level 3 chargers. So I just kind of want to bring that up. The other thing that I want to bring up is that these are actual CCS connectors. And these connectors, after we bought and paid for these things, Ford announced that they're going to be changing over to the NACS system, the North American Charging Standard, which is the Tesla plug. And so even though our break even is at 48 years, the technology is guaranteed to change. In fact, it's going to change probably in the next 2 years once Ford comes out with the next generation F-150 Lightning and the next Mach-e and all of these new electric vehicles that they're coming out with. These charging ports are going to be obsolete. And so that is the other problem that I see with EV charging, is we need to adopt a standard and then stick with it across all of the different vehicles. And I do believe that going to the NACS adapter actually is the right way of doing it. But it's a weird situation right now, especially with all of the changes going on with the government right now. You know, with the previous administration, there was a lot of money that was given out, although we did not get any of it for these chargers. But there was a lot of money that was given out for installing level 3 fast chargers if you were on certain spots on the interstate. Now, that is all pretty much going away with the new president that is in place. But once again, this is not a political video, but that might actually make it more difficult to get more businesses on board to installing these level 3 chargers. So I'm curious, what do you think about the cost down below? Now, obviously it's obscene and it's crazy, but do you think that this is going to be the main barrier of entry for worldwide EV adoption? Thank you so much for watching this video. If you haven't already done so, subscribe to the channel with the bell notification turned on so you don't miss a single video. Peace.